Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. Love is lovelier the second time around, or at least that's what a popular song in the 60s claimed. But later in that same decade, divorce and remarriage and the sexual revolution turned relationships and how America viewed them on their heads. Our guest today, Dr. Harold Baer, has seen it all in his role as a pastor and counselor and writes about it in his latest book, Bedroom of Divorce, Second Time Around. Welcome, Dr. Baer from Lynchburg, Virginia today, visiting your son, I guess, huh?
Thank you so much.
Good. Well, it's a nice break in the day. I'm glad you are here to talk with us. What an unusual title, Bedroom of Divorce, Second Time Around. How'd you come up with that?
A parishioner came to me with a story that was really intriguing and shocking, and I began to think about it. And being a sociologist, I began to track similar kinds of stories and realized that a whole lot of things continue to happen after a divorce.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, before we're getting into the weeds of your book, let's start off with your background a little bit. You and your wife, Layla, have been married for 58 years. What has kept you two going?
Well, people say, "Tell me when the honeymoon's over," and I say, "I'll let you know." And so I think you're intentionally in love, and marriage is wonderful.
Yeah.
You work at it, accept the woman's smarter, and just be obedient, and it all goes well.
I've heard some people say, they tell us that marriage is hard work. It's not hard work. Yes, it is. I think they've got a problem with lying if they say that, if they've been married any
Oh,
length of time at all.
well, my friend, people say, "What's it like being married to the same woman 59 years?" I said, "It's so much easier than marriage to three or four and cheaper."
You're not kidding. I can't imagine the hassles that go along with multiple marriages. Now, you start with in your book with a description of how we become a sex obsessed society, from the books we read to the shows we watch, and how we view relationships. And I dare say there are people who don't remember what it was like before the 60s and the so-called sexual revolution. So refresh our memories a little bit. What life was like back in the day.
Well, I was those my teenage years, and so I lived them and experienced them, as well as then scholarly researching and writing about those years. And the book, I think the watershed moment was Dr. Rubin's book, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex and Was Afraid to Ask.
Yeah,
That was a
1969.
watershed moment. And then I think Jay's book, Jay, written by ostensibly a prostitute, I think that was a door opener, a barn door opener.
Mm.
Uh, and the intriguing thing is, my friend, that before that time, doctors and ministers were about the only ones who wrote sex manuals.
Yeah.
But after that time, ministers fled the field because it was too raw in the 1970s.
Yeah.
It was everything. I mean, we saw and heard things that our mother would have smacked our jaws for
Mhm.
if we'd even intimated such things. But we read it. And then I think what happened with President Clinton, I think that really just opened a gutter. When we actually read in newspapers and magazines verbiage that was shocking to us, that we didn't say those words publicly before that time. But after that time, and as we see now, there are sexual words that are common in a newspaper that are used by politicians and all to express their emotional anger at something, which is, I think, ludicrous. I think it's a sign of idiocy.
Yeah.
My
Or,
opinion, I
or,
think, did they
or a
not know?
limited vocabulary.
Yeah, they're short on vocabulary. So we now are in a very raw time. But in the mix of all of this, we have people who are been told it's okay, just get the divorce, move on.
Hmm.
And that's not psychologically possible. It's
Hmm.
not sociologically possible. We are social beings. God made us to be emotional and social.
Yeah. You say that in the book that as a result of all that upheaval, divorce rates rose, and as you put it, truth was of little consequence. What do you mean by that?
Repeat that again, please.
Truth was of little consequence is something you said in the book because of all the divorce rates, or as the divorce rates divorce rates rose, um, as a result of all that, truth was of little consequence to people.
Feelings transcend truth.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's what I feel. It's if I think it and I want to do it, God doesn't matter.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you know what we're overriding completely here is that promiscuity is like a gutter for venereal disease. We don't even talk about it. We don't talk about the fact that we're having an epidemic of venereal disease. We don't talk about the emotional upheavals that are caused by um, sexual perversion. We just don't even talk about it. We deny it. And people like getting married to the same sex. We don't talk about when they grow old. We don't talk about when they have nobody to come to their rescue when they're old. They have no children. They have no, you know, they have no collateral in terms of social being to have anybody around them when they're old or to care for them. So those things are hidden. It'll be another couple of generations before we collect on the damage.
Do you ever see a way going back?
I think I'm probably too biblically driven. I think we're in a moral slide that only Jesus can rescue.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think, I think, and again, sociologically, I'm inclined to believe that about every 20 years there's a shift. So we've been in a conservative shift. People may not believe it, but we've been in a conservative shift, kind of yelling about abortion and other things. But the liberals will come back, and when they do, it'll be, you know, bar the doors of hell for 20 years.
Mhm.
It'll be, it'll be worse than it is. But then there'll be another swing. I had a professor at UVA, Dr. Foyer, and he said, if you will just observe history, about every 20 years, there's a social swing.
Mm.
So by the time we recognize it, it's already in demise. And
Yeah.
I think our current conservative move is already in demise.
Yeah. What inspired you to write this book?
Because I came to where in my research and counseling of couples, I came to where I could talk to children and figure out if their mother or father were still hugging and kissing the first spouse.
Mm. Hmm.
Yes, I mean it's
You mean the first spouse after a divorce?
yes, they were
Oh,
divorced and remarried, but when they go pick up the kids,
oh,
the man is sliding words, or the woman's wanting to touch and to feel, or they even have sex, or they kiss, they hug, or they verbally have sex. You know,
yeah.
they talk about it. They yes, I mean, these things happen, and people more than we would imagine. And I mean, the woman who, one of the characters in the book, she shared with me, my first husband was a drunk. He was lousy, but when we made love, it was worth it to me.
Huh.
And my second husband is a godly man, but a lousy bed partner. And she said, I just close my eyes and pretend I'm with my first husband and get through it.
Good grief. That's something. Well, there's obviously a spiritual component to your book, as you would expect from a pastor who's the son of a pastor and who's married to a pastor's daughter. Is this book just designed for Christians, or can somebody outside the faith benefit from this?
A licensed counselor who's recommended the book, and his name is on it, says that every counselor, sinner or saint, ought to have this book in their bookshelf.
Yeah.
He said every counselor needs to read this book because there's denial going on. The truth of the matter is, if we were to do it, I don't know of any good research. I think most counselors have their own problems. So it's easy for them to say, oh, just move on. Just move on.
Yeah.
Just let it go. It doesn't matter. You know, just find somebody new, do something different.
Hmm.
And I think that's a great lie that is covering up a whole host of social problems. And then we don't even talk about the collateral damage to children or to friends or to churches
Yeah.
or our social groups. No, go do what you want to do. Go find somebody and go to bed and have a good time. Get your hormone fixed. Now, one of the dramatic things that's changed when I was in high school, if a girl made any attempt at a boy, we gave her bad names.
Mhm.
But now in movies and all, women are the aggressors. So huge shift socially.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's clear in many cases that women in movies and all, they just want a hormonal fix. They just want a physical encounter. They want you gone,
Yeah.
gone. They don't even want you part of their life.
And
So
that,
this is something that's different.
yeah, and there never seems to be any consequences, no battle with their conscience or anything like that. Um, Tell us about the case studies in your book. I know everyone's situation is different. Are these from people you've counseled?
These are from people I counseled. I finished the book actually about 1990. I waited until they're all dead or too old to know who they are. That is the truth. I have
Really?
waited. I am free of lawsuit here. Okay. And so if somebody recognizes it, nobody in this book has the presence of mind to know.
Well, you're not using names anyway, but it's so it would have been okay, I think. Obviously, people can't change their past and they can still have fulfilling relationships after divorce, right?
They can. That's why in the final chapter I point out, yes, flowers can grow in the desert,
Mm,
but it's with a struggle. They've got to understand the climate. They've got to find water somewhere. And the important thing, and I bring this back to any healthy marriage, is that communication factor of respect
mm,
and love and openness and not hiding things. You can't. My wife and I have no passwords that are not known to each other. None. We have nothing that is hidden. Nothing, not phones, not computers, not anything. And so I think what happens to a lot of couples, they make the gross error of thinking, well, this I can keep back. Well, I'm going to have a private bank account and not tell my wife. Well, I'm
mm.
going to, you know, do this and I'm going to put my money over here and she's going to put hers over there. One man said to me once, he said, I need you to know my wife and I are divorcing. I said, you're kidding. You're wealthy. You're, oh, he said, I know. And she's a wonderful person. He said, it's just that she got her car. I got my car. We got our separate bank accounts. And eventually he said, we looked at each other and we said, I don't know you.
Mm. Wow. But now, but there is an element of not sharing everything that happened before you met, right?
Oh, thank you very much. One of my strong points is saying if you meet a woman and you love her, then you take her for who she is.
Hmm. And hopefully she takes you for who you are.
One of the most foolish things that ever happens in marriages is when a man and a woman say, okay, let's be open and tell everything we ever did before marriage. That is one of the most foolish things, and it's wrecked a many of a marriage
Yeah. Oh,
because the man may forget it, but the woman will not.
yeah.
One couple I knew almost divorced because she kept pressing him, saying, what color hair do you really like? And he finally said, well, I guess blonde. She was brunette. And he had
Uh-oh.
had a blonde girlfriend, and it almost cost them their marriage.
Oh no. Good
Yeah.
grief.
Women, yeah.
I was like what one of our pastors said. He said that people who struggle with first, second, and third marriages, what's the common denominator? You. How important is it to get your own act together before trying to change your partner? Or should we even, no, we shouldn't even try to change our partner.
It's a very salient question. The point is that I try and make rushing out of a marriage into another marriage is probably just for sexual desire.
Yeah.
Needs to be a time in between that a person reckons, even to admitting even if I'm considered the innocent partner, what was I doing that was the weak link? How
Mhm.
did I fail in the marriage? Where did I let it go wrong? How did I get into that marriage that was wrong? I say now it was wrong. How did I get into it? What was it about me? That self-study period neglected will absolutely guarantee that the second marriage will not be healthy.
Right, right. Who did you write the book for, and what do you hope they get out of it?
I wrote it hoping that people who are, if you'll see the places in it where I talk about just purity,
Hmm.
uh, put little poetic pages, that God desires us to be pure. He wants us to live a holy life, and He wants us to live a life that glorifies Him. So, our marriage, my wife looks at me after 59 years and she says, "You know who I love more than you?" And I said, "Yes, I know that. You love Jesus more than you love me." I mean, 59 years later, she says, "You are not first, Harold Bear. Jesus is first."
Yeah,
And
as it
so
should be.
that's salient. That's
Hmm.
salient. I mean, if we are going to serve the Lord, if we're going to honor Him, then we have to do it with all of our heart, and it has to transcend. Because how do I know but what Layla will die today? Who am I then? How
Right.
do I know what I will die? I'm a 6.5 year survivor of pancreatic cancer, so we live with the threat,
Hmm.
and so we try and prepare. And I tell her, "Don't you show up at my grave weeping and crying. We've had a good life.
Hmm.
Hold your head high and say it was a good run.
Yeah.
Go live. You're still a whole person."
Well, what is the most important counsel you would give to somebody who's never been married before and they're sitting down in front of you saying, "We're getting married"? What would be your if you had 2 minutes with them? What would you be your biggest?
I would say make sure that you find someone that you really trust who can give you good counsel about a healthy marriage. Do not get married without sound, godly counseling. That's number one. And I just refuse to do weddings without counseling. I
Yeah.
just no. Somebody showed up today. If they offer me $10,000 to do a 5 minute wedding, I'd say I don't do that
Hmm.
because I have no investment in your marriage.
All right.
And
Yeah.
then I say to them, if you're going to ask me to do your wedding, you're giving me the liberty to speak into your marriage after you're married.
Mm.
5 years from now, I see y'all kind of derailing. I'm going to pick up the phone and call, or I'm going to come and visit, or I'm going to ask you to come and visit. And I'm going to say, "Hey, we talked about this. Get your act together."
Yeah.
So I buy in at the beginning and I tell them, "Your money means nothing to me. I don't care about your money.
Hmm.
I care about you having a happy marriage. I want you to have what I have.
Yeah.
I know what it takes to have that."
And a good start is to get them a copy of Bedroom of Divorce Second Time Around. Harold, thanks so much for being with us today. Really a pleasure talking with you, and have a great rest of the day. And congratulations on 59 years. I said earlier 58. I guess that was old material, but 59 years and counting. Let's get it to 60 and beyond.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. And thank you, folks, for spending a few minutes with us today on the Global Book Network. I'm Paul Ryden. We'll see you next time.